Hey there, welcome to the Are We There Yet podcast. Now, this week, the interview that I'm doing is, I would say, rather challenging because the subject matter is domestic abuse. And my interviewee is a great, incredible woman called Gwen Phelan. Lots of you may not have heard of her before. She's just written a book called The Quiet Place, which is self-published, which pretty much charts her journey through and out of domestic abuse. Not an easy conversation to listen to, but one I think that we can all learn from. Just to say, in Ireland, we have incredible services that people can avail of, womensaid.ie and mensaid.ie as well. So I'm not going to say enjoy the episode, but as I said, I hope we can all take something from this story. Gwen Phelan, it is so lovely to have you in the Are We There Yet podcast studio.
Thank you.
Now, we first had a chat. You were on my radio show, the morning show on Q102. And as is always the case with radio and a story like yours, you don't get a whole lot of time to, I suppose, give the attention to your story, which is why I asked you to be on the podcast today, because not a lot of people will know you. I've had a lot of kind of high profile people on the podcast. But your story is one that I think everybody should hear because it is a story of domestic abuse.
Yeah.
And you have written a book and it is called The Quiet Place, A Tale of Domestic Abuse. You've changed all the names in it, I'm assuming for legal reasons,
yes,
and to protect people in your life. But can I ask you, why did you want to write the book? Like, had you ever written before? Are you an author?
Nope.
Not before now.
Not before now. The last time I wrote an essay was in school when I was like 17 or 16 or something like that. But it was important for me because obviously having lived that life and experienced domestic abuse and trauma as a child even, it stirred me and kind of steered me onto a path of wrong decisions, shall we say.
Okay.
And coming out of something like domestic abuse, I wanted to help as many people as I could, men and women, because men, it just happened to men too. And I just want to be there to help people and to let them know that there is life after domestic abuse. And it's a beautiful life.
Yeah.
You just have to take those very
brave steps.
Scary, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Steps. Yeah.
And I think I remember doing that chat with you on the radio, and to know that the help is there. We have great organisations in Ireland. We have womensaid.ie, we have mensaid.ie. The guards were phenomenal to you as well. Your neighbours, to know to reach out for family. And there's so much in the trauma. There's so much in the shame. And we're going to try and dissect it all. But can I bring you back to Gwen growing up and tell me a little bit about, where you grew up in Dublin, your family, and sort of try and let us know a little bit about who you are.
Okay, well, I grew up in Ballyfermot, which is a place I am so proud of. There are some phenomenal, fantastic people from Ballyfermot.
Yeah, not too far from me because I'm in Inchicore.
That's right, you're down the road.
Down the road.
And like I'm the posh part of Ballyfermot. So anyway, I grew up, my mom died when I was 3.
Okay.
And so I had 6 siblings. I had 2 sisters and 4 brothers and my dad. And growing up in that time in the 70s, early 80s, without a mom is particularly hard. I think growing up without a parent at all in any situation is extremely hard because you grow up with a sense of loneliness. You have this void within inside you, and you want to try and fill that void and make yourself not feel as lonely. And as a child, I couldn't articulate that to anybody, and back then we didn't talk about our feelings anyway.
No, not at all.
My dad was very old school, old fashioned. We didn't get the hugs, and we knew that he loved us, of course, but we didn't get the hugs.
And how did he, so there was 7 of you?
Yeah.
And he was out working every day?
Yeah.
What was the age gap between you all?
So from
oldest to youngest, say?
The eldest at that time, when I was born, so there was, I'll do it this way. My eldest brother would be now in his maybe 64, 65. He passed away with cancer. There's 7 of us. I have a twin brother. I have a brother who's 2 years younger than me. Then I have 2 older sisters and another brother.
Okay.
So there's a few of us. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
No, that's okay. And after your mom passed away, I mean, difficult times for you guys trying to keep it all together,
Yeah.
for all your brothers and sisters, and for your dad trying to raise a family.
Again, back then, I suppose men were very stoic, weren't they? And they just didn't talk about their feelings. So they went to work, they did what they had to do. And my dad kept a house over, over a roof over our heads. He worked very hard. And it was my eldest sister, and I suppose my other sister, who kind of took on the role of mum. But it's not the same as having your mum.
Of course.
And then, of course, as my sisters and brothers got older, they all moved out and left the younger ones at home, which was very, very hard, very sad.
And because your dad was trying to work, after work, he, like so many men, would go to the pub.
Yeah.
Left you, I suppose, a little bit vulnerable in terms of who was put in charge to mind you.
Yeah. I always say this, that abusive people they're like sharks. They can smell vulnerability a mile away. And that happened quite a few times. Yeah. And I suppose in general terms, I suppose I don't really, it's uncomfortable for me to talk about even now, because I was only a child. Happened a few times. Yeah. And I was taken advantage of. And I suppose that kind of, as I was growing up, I kind of mistook that kind of vulnerability for love, if that makes sense. I thought abuse equals love, basically. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And you tell me if you don't want to go there. You have written it in the book.
Yes.
In terms of it being a sexual abuse on a child. Was that ongoing?
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was. And I didn't tell anybody until I was well into my 20s, maybe 30s.
Okay, so your family knew nothing about it. Your dad knew nothing about it. Yeah.
No, I didn't tell anybody. Sure, I didn't understand at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what it was.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. But when I did understand what it was like that, there was a lot of shame at that. And when I did tell my sisters or whatever, I was an adult by then.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was tough. It's tough to talk about.
I can imagine.
Because I think the fact that, I have children, you have children, and when you're a parent, to think that somebody would take advantage of your child and hurt them in any way, I mean, it just brings out the mama bear in you, and you just want to actually, you go crazy just thinking about it. And the fact that there was nobody really there for me, it's very sad for me to talk about. Yeah.
Did you go to therapy in your late 20s when you started to talk about it? That was not something that we did back then either.
No, you kind of just got on with it, didn't you? You just you kind of put it into the back of your mind, and you forget about these things. You don't forget about them. What am I saying? You don't forget about them. It's always there, but you just try not to think about it. And
then when you began romantic relationships in your 20s and into your 30s, or even in your late teens, I mean, that was something that must have massively affected you then.
You see, when I was a teenager, I was overweight. I was always overweight as a child, so I had no confidence anyway. I grew up with no sense of self because I didn't have a mammy, to tell me you're gorgeous, which is what I say to my kids.
Oh my God, every day.
Every day, and you want to instill their worth into them, tell them how precious they are and how, look, you are everything, you are gorgeous. You want to do that for your kids. But I didn't have that growing up. So I grew up thinking I was fat, I was ugly. I grew up thinking that who would want me anyway? So any relationships that I had were all toxic because I was trying to just get affection from anybody who would show me a breadcrumb of affection. And I would grab onto that hope and, oh my God, this person loves me. And they would take advantage. So I didn't have healthy relationships.
You got married.
Yes.
And you had 3 kids.
Yes.
And that marriage didn't work out.
Yeah.
And then you met a new partner.
I did. Shortly after I got separated, I knew this guy on and off from social media, and he would message me now and again. Nothing in it. I didn't think, hey, how's it going? How's your day? And I was going through some stuff anyway because I had 2 deaths in the family. And I had all this stuff going on in my head with my childhood. I did an awful lot of stuff going on. And then my marriage ended. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is another failed relationship. What am I doing? I was just in a really bad, vulnerable place.
And what age, Gwen, were the children at that time?
The youngest would have been 6, 7, maybe. They're going to laugh when they hear that. 6, 7. They're all into that now. 6, 7. She would have been around 7. I'm going to say.
Okay.
And the eldest lad would have been 12.
Right.
I'm going to say, yeah. It's a long time ago, so
yeah,
I just,
trying to kind of figure it all out.
Trying to figure out everything.
And where were you? Did you stay in the family home? Did you have that security at that time?
No, I didn't. For a little while, I stayed in the family home, and then I suppose without getting into it, it's in the book. I moved out, not because I wanted to. I didn't want to move out, but I moved into a mobile home miles and miles away from my kids.
With this new partner.
Yeah, worst thing I ever did in my life. And I look back at that time in my life and think, oh my God, why did nobody ever just say, stay in that house, don't move, stay where you are? But my head was all over the place. And I thought the best thing to do was leave the family home and go and live in this mobile home. I didn't want to go and live with your man. I didn't want to, but that was the only kind of thing I could think of doing. Yeah.
So you felt that he had his arms out open wide. He was the only place that you felt that you could go.
Yeah.
And you traveled from that mobile home to the house. You had your kids up. You'd get your kids ready for school. You'd get them dressed. You'd get them breakfast. So it wasn't that you left your kids and saw them at the weekend. You were still very much a part of their life. Were you worried you weren't worried for their safety or anything like that? I
wasn't worried for their safety, but I was worried that would affect them because I wasn't there at night time to tuck them in. That still kills me.
Yeah.
That still kills me to this day. Jesus, I wasn't thinking straight, and looking back, I'm like, oh my God, why didn't somebody just say, listen, stay there with the kids, they need you? Because I know what it's like growing up without mum, but it still hurts me to this day that I wasn't there for them, to tuck them in at night, to read them bedtime stories, to just be mum with them. I was kind of there during the day, cooking, cleaning, whatever. And I was working part-time too. And then I'd leave them when their dad came home and I'd go back to the mobile home.
So then when did you reunite together then as a family under one roof?
So my former partner, he got a house and I moved in with him because I found out I was pregnant. And I got my kids and we lived in the same house then.
Okay. And that's where it all started to unravel?
No, it started to unravel when I was living in the mobile home. There was a few instances where any other normal person would have just said, hey, listen, I'm leaving you, good luck. But I had no idea what I was in because I didn't know what domestic abuse was. I didn't know what narcissism was. Didn't know any of these things. All I knew was basically toxicity in relationships, and I thought that was normal. But in the mobile home, like this guy told me he couldn't have any more kids, for instance, and I didn't want any more kids. I found myself pregnant, and that was, it's awful to say, but that was the worst thing that could have happened to me because I didn't want any more children, and I knew this guy was a bit dodgy, at that stage. Couldn't put a label on it because I didn't understand. I had the separation going on. I had my kids in the other, and I had a lot of grief still at the time, and just like my head was all over the place. The last thing I needed was another baby, and we fought about it. And this is really one of the worst things that happened in the relationship. But we fought about it, and there was one night that he gave me a punch to the face so hard that I fell really hard. And the next day I had a miscarriage. So in my head, while that was horrific in itself, I kind of thought, my God, God is punishing me because I wanted my marriage to end. I went off with this lad, left my kids. So this is God saying, well, listen, you deserve this now.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. And then very shortly after that, then I got pregnant again, which was, to me, I was like, okay, this is another chance now. I'm going to have this baby, please God, and I'm just going to have to suck up whatever this guy is going to unleash on me.
And I know I can sense your upset, and I can sense your grief as somebody who's been through a miscarriage, who's been through multiple miscarriages. I mean, I don't think you ever get over that as you go through life. But the first question that popped into my head, and I know people listening will be going, why did you stay?
That question, whenever anybody asks me that, it used to really, really bother me, and it used to drive me crazy, because they don't understand that in a toxic, an abusive relationship like that, the dynamics that are going on. So, number one, where was I going to go? Right? I didn't think I had anywhere else to go. I could have gone to my family, of course, but who's going to take in that trouble? Who's going to take in that mess? That's what was going on in my head. I mean, they probably didn't think of me like that, but that's what I thought of myself.
Mm.
Number two, I was financially dependent on this man. So he was constantly taking my money. He took all my savings. He got into my bank account. The amount of money this man stole on me is unreal.
My God.
So that's another thing. And then you're afraid to leave, because what if he hurts you? What if you tell your family, your friends what's going on? He's going to really hurt you. So you have all this stuff going on at the one time. That's why people stay as long as they do.
Mm.
It's not because they stay there because they want to be physically harmed.
Mm.
Nobody does.
Mm.
You want to be loved, and you've invested in this person.
Mm.
You thought you were in this mutual, respectful relationship that turned into something absolutely nightmarish. But, you've invested, you love this person. And there's also a thing I want to say as well, is that when you do leave, or if you do want to leave, what if they move on with somebody else and they change for that person? That's all
in your head
as well. I know it sounds mad.
No, it doesn't.
But that's what's going on. That's why people stay as long as they do.
Yeah. And so you had that baby?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. And she is the boss of our house now. She is just amazing. All my kids, I have to say, I love them. I wouldn't be here without them, because they helped me get through these last few years.
Mm.
They're so well put together, funny. I know we all say that about our kids, but because of what they have seen and heard and gone through and come out the other side, like, brilliant.
Well, also, Gwen, they have the most amazing, resilient role model of a mother.
Thank you.
Thanks. I mean, that's the place you are at now.
Yeah.
And I'm aware that it's so difficult to talk to, and it might be very difficult for people to hear, but in terms of how you did get to this place. So you've a newborn baby, you've got 4 children, you're still with this person. How soon after you had the baby did the abuse begin again? Or did it ever stop?
It didn't stop.
It never stopped.
It never stopped. But it wasn't every day either. I wasn't physically harmed every day, but I was being abused without my knowledge every day. So, like, manipulation, lying to me constantly, obviously the financial abuse, the robbing my money. So to the point where all I could do was stay at home. I wasn't really allowed to have friends. I didn't see my family, because they isolate you away from safety, I suppose. Because as long as you're isolated, they can do what they goddamn want to you. Do you know? And that's their mindset.
Listen, our hearts are working 24/7, right? So if you do ever feel that worry, maybe some unexpected chest pains, palpitations, breathlessness, you need to know that there is also expert help available 24/7 too. That's why I want to talk about Matter Private Network in Dublin. They are the only private hospital in Ireland offering urgent cardiac care all day, every day. And I'm talking weekends, bank holidays, even in the middle of the night. Now that is genuine peace of mind. This is such a unique service for anybody who is worried about their heart. And if you're not sure, just pick up the phone and call them first. You can ring 1800 24/7 999, you'll be put directly through to a cardiac specialist nurse who will talk you through your symptoms. If they need you to come in, you'll get a thorough assessment immediately. If you need treatment or a procedure the same day, they'll arrange it straight away. It's about getting swift, expert care from one of Ireland's leading hospitals. If you're worried about your heart, the number to save is 1800 24/7 999. For more information, you can log on to matterprivate.ie. Save the number and be prepared.
So this went on. So with the physical abuse, I'll give you a few, I suppose, examples of what I went through. So when I was pregnant, he'd constantly be out on the set. I didn't know that this man had a reliance on cocaine. I don't take drugs. I barely drink. Now and again I drink. So I didn't know what the signs were about drug use or anything like that. But this man was a chronic cocaine user, which is why he was taking my money all the time. And he'd go on these binges and these sessions and he'd come back like an absolute maniac and he'd rip the place apart. You know, he'd constantly be throwing things around. He'd have us all absolutely terrified.
The kids as well.
And the kids as well. That's what I say, like they saw and heard things that no child should ever do. But he'd do it in a way where he would let us know, if you do anything, I can kill you. Do you know? I remember one time he was raging and shouting and screaming about something. And I was pregnant at the time. And I said, "Oh, kids, come on, we'll go somewhere." And he took the keys off me and he twisted my hand trying to get the keys off me in front of my kids. My kids were screaming, "Leave my mum alone, leave my mum alone." And that's what they were used to. I mean, I talking about it even, it's like, oh my God. Oh my God, it's horrific.
But do you know what it is? Sitting here with you, it feels like you are talking about a different woman. Yeah. And in a way you are, because of the place that you are in now. But for somebody as confident and resilient, and you see it so clearly now looking back, but when you were in it, obviously recognizing the violence is, you know that it's wrong and your kids seeing it, but the not being able to get out.
Yeah. You see, when you're in it, it's like you're in a fog. Yeah. It's like you're in a fog. That's the only way I can describe it. You know that this is wrong.
Yeah.
And this is where the cognitive dissonance comes in. This is like a buzzword out there now. And in layman's terms, it's a fight between your heart and your head. You know logically that this man is absolutely batshit crazy and you need to get out of there. But your heart is saying, no, but you love him and he loves you. Give him a bit of time. He'll change. That's constant. That's why you're, and I suppose it's a trauma bond as well, that you're bonded to this person, because somewhere down the line you're hoping that he is going to change. He's going to wake up one day and go, my God, I've been such an absolute bastard to you. I'm going to change. It's not going to happen. Never going to happen. But the hope is there. And I want to tell you something else about another time. This tattoo that I have on my hand, right? There was an instance where we were in the car. I was driving the car. My baby was brand new. We were stopped at traffic lights and I was still healing from a C-section. So I was sore, but I was driving. I had driven my kids to school and we were arguing about something. He was saying something about my other daughter. She's too clingy to you. She's too clingy. You need to do something about her, for fuck's sake, like, can't you? And I was like, the child is terrified of you. Like, the child is, I didn't say that to him in my head. I was like, she's terrified of you. That's why she was wetting the bed and everything, like, you know. Horrific. But then we stopped at the car and I was like, God, would you ever just give it a break? Oh my God, he got the baby out of her seat, in her seat. He got out of the car. He came around to the driver's side, opened the driver's door. He took my keys out of the car, got my hand, bit my hand. Like, he bit my hand in traffic in Tala, where there was a big, huge, people could see this. I screamed. He went around with the keys. He threw the keys at the windscreen. He damaged the windscreen. There was like a smashing in the windscreen and he ran off the baby and I was in traffic and I was screaming. I got out of that car. Not one person got out of the car. Not one person got out of the car to ask me, was I okay? I was screaming. So I eventually found him and he got into the car and he said, no, won't you ever get fucking smart with me again? So I didn't. So every time I looked down at my hand, even though the bite mark faded, I took pictures of it and everything. Every time, I just was brought back to that day in that car, and the bite mark and the viciousness that he did it with. So I decided I wanted to get something else on my hand, and I got this tattoo, and that just, I'm so sorry. It's just awful. I just wanted to get something beautiful. So every time I look down at my hand, I'm reminded that's me. They're my kids, my family, my friends.
I'm so sorry. I mean,
I'm making you cry. I'm sorry.
It's very hard to, hear it. Anybody going through that, but anybody being subjected to that as a new mother, and then anybody who takes your child or threatens your child.
The fear that I felt that day, and the fear that I felt in general.
Yeah.
It's something that I can't articulate to you unless you've been through it. You have fears as a mother, of course. I hope my kids get to school okay. I hope they come home okay. But that's a constant thing every day in your life. Oh my God, I hope my kid's going to be okay in their own bed tonight. I hope. It's horrific. It's horrific.
I understand a bit more now, I think, when I go back to Gwen as a child, go back to you as a child, and that loss of love, that loss of kind of understanding what love is, the damage that abuse can do to a child, the lifelong damage that it can do.
Yeah.
Where you're always looking and seeking for love and support.
Yeah.
So I kind of understand that a little bit more now. So where did the bravery come to finally go, I am done, I'm out of this?
When eventually it did come to a head, I always use this story as when he went for me one day, we were arguing about something. The baby was brand new. He chased me out to the front garden, and I was screaming at the top of my lungs, somebody help me, somebody help me. And he grabbed me back into the house. He pulled up my top that it broke, and I was exposed. This is in the book. And I kept saying, somebody please help me. And we got back into the house, and he was walking around me, like threatening me in my face. And I always say he was like a predator with its prey, because he knew I was absolutely terrified. Do what you want me. Do what you want to me. Do not touch my baby. And that's what I was terrified. He had no love for her or care for her even. What man does that to a brand new baby? He was hurting her through me. But he got bored of doing that. He went up to bed. And very shortly afterwards, there was a knock at the door. And there was 3 guards standing there, two men and a woman. And they came in, and I told them what happened. I cried my eyes out, first of all. The 2 men went upstairs to get him. And the woman, first of all, she gave me a hug. And I remember saying to myself, this is the first hug I've gotten in so long. I forgot what that felt like. And to feel safe. Number 1, she was a woman. Number 2, she was a guard. So she's not going to harm me. She took the baby off me and she put her in the crib. And she said to me, what are you doing here? And I said, I don't have anywhere else to go. And she said, that's no reason for you to be here. This is no way for you to live. So she told me about women's aid, and she told me, please leave this. Please leave this relationship. Please leave here. But I didn't for a while. It took a long time, because obviously I didn't have anywhere to go to. But I kept that information about women's aid in the back of my head.
Right.
And every time I went to make that call, I was still afraid. What if he takes my phone and goes through my call logs and sees women's aid? What, like, do you know?
Yeah.
But I did one day. And it came to a head where I got very sick. I had a nervous breakdown because of all the last few years took its toll on my mental health. And you can only be so strong for so long before your brain can't take any more and your body. And I went up to Tala Hospital, and I just kept saying, I want to die. I want to die. And the girl from the desk came straight out. And she brought me straight into the area where you see the nurse, first of all. And like, I didn't say anything else. I kept saying, I just want to die. So they brought me in to see a psychiatrist. So I told the psychiatrist a bit about what was going on. And she gave me meds, and I can't really remember anything else I know she was talking to me for quite a while, but like I wasn't there really. I wasn't there in my own head.
Yeah.
I went home with the meds, and exactly a week later, I was feeling a little bit better and brighter. So I said, I'm going to go up and have a shower, just feel a little bit nicer. My kids were downstairs with him, and the next thing I heard, shouting and screaming, and that that feeling in your stomach, that knot. I was like, oh my God, what now? And it was my youngest boy, and he was calling, Mom, Mom. So I got out of the shower, I ran downstairs, and he's in my son's face. And my poor son, and he's like, Mom, I didn't want the baby to get upstairs. I wanted to mind the baby, or whatever he was saying. And he got into my son saying, I'm her dad. I know what you are, and saying all this weird stuff to my kids. And then I just had enough. I got in between the two of them, and he said to me, you can stay. They have to go. And I was like, oh my God. He left. He got into the car. He drove. I thought he was gone. He drove off. I said to my kids, pack as much stuff. Quick, let's pack the in black plastic bags. Get all your shit together. Come on, we have to go. And as we were packing, he comes back around the corner. I could hear the car before I saw it into the front garden and try to ram his way through the front of the house, the window. Again, the neighbours were out. I was screaming. The kids were screaming. He came in like a madman, like a madman. Went after my boys. He wanted to hurt my boys. I know he did. And there was this chaos. And the next thing, my ex-husband was at the door, and he had called the police. My son had called his dad. Of course he would.
Of course, yeah.
Of course he would. And I remember he got us out to the front garden. The guards were there, and I just remember walking out the front garden, and there's people watching this, and the neighbours, and they've heard so much already. Do you know, embarrassment and the shame that I felt, and I was like, how have I ended up like this? And the fact that my ex-husband was watching all this going on, seeing all this going on, and it was horrific. And I just said to myself, I hope my kids are going to be okay. I just don't want them to see anymore or hear anymore. And I that's when I contacted Women's Aid and told them what was going on, and they said, we can get you into a refuge. So it took 3 weeks for us to move into the refuge, which saved our lives, basically. Those women are just amazing. Like, they're just sent from heaven. And that's what I call them. I call them angels, because they get it. They understand abuse. They understand what's going on. They don't question you. They don't say, why did you stay so long? Not, and that's another thing. People never say, why did he do that?
I know.
They say, why did you stay?
Yeah.
Like it's my fault. Do you know?
Yeah. No, it was what I asked. It was the first question that came into my head. And
yeah.
It's not it's like, how could you, for yourself, your sanity, for your kids, but you can't leave. You can't see a way out. That's the thing. You can't see a way out.
Exactly. You can't. Yeah. You can't. You think you're doomed for everything. You're stuck there forever. And the more that the abuse goes on, the more that they take your confidence, your being, your autonomy. You don't belong to you anymore. Yeah. They're in charge of you. Yeah. So how are you going to leave? Unless they allow you, they're not going to allow you to leave. Do you know?
Those first couple of nights when you were on your own with your kids, do you feel safe as well as feeling vulnerable? Are you scared as well as feeling relieved? Like, it must be a whole roller coaster.
In the refuge?
Yeah.
When we entered the refuge, it was like a little kind of apartment that we had.
And are you there with other families?
There's other families there, but like where we were, we had like a little apartment, and then we had kind of neighbours, I guess, on the other side. We never saw anybody else. Okay. We never saw, unless you went down for a quick smoke.
Okay.
Which is what I write in the book. This is what struck me. When I went down to have a smoke, all the ladies that were down there, their head down. Nobody talked. It was maybe, God, it's freezing out here, isn't it? Oh my God. We never discussed anything else, and they all kept their heads down. And I said to myself, we're all ashamed of where we are. We're all ashamed of our life. We didn't do this to us. Somebody else did this to us. This shouldn't be our shame. This should be their shame, And it fired up an anger in me as well. But to answer your question, I felt like I was home. I felt like, oh my God, nobody can harm us. Nobody can hurt us. Nobody can rob from me. Nobody can call me a name. Nobody can break my teeth, which is what he did as well. He moved my teeth. So I could, well, my baby was very, very small, so I didn't sleep well anyway, but it was my little place for the time being, and I knew my kids were safe. And I didn't feel afraid. No, I didn't feel afraid, but I felt a lot of emotions at the same time. I knew that this is where, listen, you can thrive here, or you can let it just completely, take over your life. And I decided that, oh, man, I just want to thrive. This is it. I've had enough. I don't know. Something woke up in me. And it was the women in the refuge as well that taught me about the wheel of abuse and how abuse can happen. And, most of this stuff happens in your childhood. And it feels familiar to you. And that's why you're drawn to these relationships.
Yeah.
Because you think maybe by fixing this person, you can fix your past. But that's impossible. You're not going to be able to do that. What you can do is look at your past, go to therapy, understand what happened to you, and make peace with it.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. You cannot fix the past. It's gone. And that's what I did.
Was writing the book cathartic for you?
Yes. It was cathartic. I'm not going to lie to you. There were times when I had to step away from it because I was remembering things that I had forgotten about and went, oh my God. And I got a little bit anxious doing it. And I remember I got health anxiety. I was running around to my doctor every week going, listen, I have a pain somewhere new this time. But looking back on it, it was the anxiety of writing that book and feeling
what it was bringing up for you.
Yeah. You're feeling those things again. You're hearing those things again. You're hearing his voice again. And that was what was making me anxious. But I'm so proud that I did it. I did it. And I did it with the intent of reaching out and telling people, listen, if you really want to change your life and you're in a dynamic like this, you can. And know that, listen, it's not going to be easy leaving something like this. You take those first few steps and nothing is going to stop you. And you're determined in yourself and you do it for you. If you do it for you, then you're going to do it for your kids and then you're going to do it for everybody else. But you do it for you first because you know how precious you are. Nobody else is going to be you. You are unique. Nobody else is going to be you. I'm making you cry. I'm sorry. But do you get me? You are so important. If that's not instilled in you as a child, you're never going to feel that you're worthy. No, you're worth. You are amazing. Leave those relationships. Find yourself. That's my message. Sorry.
No, but it's like you are incredible.
I'm not.
No,
I'm a normal person.
But Gwen, to break that chain and to get to that place in your head, like I don't know what to say. You know what I mean? It's like it's very overwhelming.
It can be. Yeah, I guess it is, But as somebody who grew up without a mammy, what was I going to do? Was I just going to lie down and let my kids feel that same way? No. No, I wasn't. I did this for them.
I'm thinking of women and men, but I think particularly women today who are listening to us, and maybe one woman who finds herself in a relationship that she knows she shouldn't be in. To hear those words from you must be so reassuring and actually incredibly helpful in terms of taking and making that first step that you found so hard to do for so long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is hard. But if there are women listening to me, I want you to really hear my words. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to look in the mirror and I want you to say, I'm amazing. I am worth so much more than this. And I deserve more than this. I want you to take those first few steps. Make a call to Women's Aid or the guards or your support system. Tell somebody what's going on. When you're leaving one of these relationships, I want you to be so careful and make a plan with Women's Aid or the guards or your family. If you leave one of these relationships, it can be so dangerous because this is a time when women can be murdered. And we've seen that in the news down through the years, or they can be harmed because abusers don't want to,
No,
relinquish
isn't that what they say?
control.
It is the most dangerous time
It is
for
the
women.
most dangerous time.
Yeah.
So you have to make a safe plan.
Mm-hmm.
Do it in conjunction with somebody else. But God, do it. Take those first few steps. It's terrifying. You don't know what you're going to. You forget what the world is. You forget what how big the world is, and you feel so small that you're terrified. Jesus, just do it.
I can feel in you that it is so important that you have become a spokesperson, an advocate. You've written a book that maybe if you had read 20 years ago might have made more sense to you. You're doing some work in schools at the moment as well. Tell me about that.
Yes, well, when I wrote the book, I gave a copy to everybody.
Yeah.
And I went up to my little girl.
Is this self-published?
Yes, I self-published. And the reason I self-published it was, that's my life in that book, in between those pages. And because I was under control for so long, and I was under the thumb for so long and being told what to do, I didn't want anybody else to tell me, change your story, because it's mine. They're my words, and I didn't want to change it for anybody. And that's why I self-published it. But I brought a copy up to my little girl's school, and the principal there, Orla, big shout out to Orla, because she's amazing, in Sacred Heart, Killinarden. She read the book, and she rang me and she said, I read that within a night, Gwen. Jesus Christ, you're amazing. So she said, I want to do some work within the school. I want you to come in and have a little talk with the teachers. And then she brought me to this kind of another talk where she introduced me to other people from the INTO and things like that. And what I would like to see happen is this brought into schools, where you're telling teenagers from around the age of 12, 13, when the hormones are kicking in, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable in a relationship, what domestic abuse is, what narcissistic abuse is. That's another buzzword thrown out there. But to teach kids what it is, what the red flags are to look for in one of these relationships, and when to leave, and why it can happen. I would love to see that brought into schools. So we're going to do some work around that. And then, funny enough, yesterday I got a call from my former key worker from Women's Aid, Anita. She's just my little angel. And she checks at me from time to time. She said, what are you doing in May? I said, she said, I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Yeah.
And she's like, would you like to do a little bit of a talk maybe in May? And there's something coming up within Women's Aid. And I said, yeah, of course. So I'm going to do that as well. And it's going to be talking about domestic abuse and the wheel of abuse. So lots of stuff going on. And I have gotten so much feedback from women and men around the world, in the UK, Europe, America even, to say that it has helped them. And, and I run a TikTok channel as well, called The Quiet Place too. And again, I get people reach out to me all the time, every day. Is this an abusive relationship? La, 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 la. And I say to them, I don't know, because I'm not you. But if you have to ask yourself, are you in an abusive relationship? Well, then the answer is yeah. Your gut is screaming at you. Something wrong. So I help people that way too. And I answer everybody that asks me a question. And I just want to kind of guide them in the right way.
You're a carer not only for your kids, but your job as well.
I work in healthcare, yes, down in big shout out to the lads there as well, Geraldine, in Island Bridge. I love my job. I love going in every day.
Where are you working?
I work in 3 buildings. So the first building I work in is Suzanne House in Tala. So that's kind of a respite home for very sick kids who are just the most amazing, resilient little people in the whole world. I mean, they live their life looking at adversity and they smile all the time. And they love the hugs and the messes, they're just amazing. And the girls down there, the nurses down there, hi to the girls, they're amazing too. And then in Island Bridge, St. John of God's, who I just love them all down there. They're gas crack. The clients are they're just amazing. And that's another thing that, it changes your outlook on life, that you might be giving out about the weather, right? Then you go in and you see these guys and they have a hard old time of it, just trying to live. And they're smiling and they're having the crack and they're laughing. And you're like, that's what it's all about. This is what it's all about. Kathryn, we only have a very short time on this earth. A really, really short time. Make the most of it. Life should be good. Life shouldn't be hard. And it shouldn't be having to second guess yourself. And it shouldn't have to be under the thumb of somebody else. You are you. You are your own person. You don't need another half. You are a whole person. Remember that. That's another thing I say to people. Live your life and be happy and smile. There is life on the other side of abuse. And it's fab.
And you are such good proof of that. When you hear that question or you look at that question, are we there yet?
Yeah.
Where are you there yet?
No, because life is the journey. And we get there when we get there, right? It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And I'm loving mine. Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah.
Hard conversation to have, but that's what I loved about you when I met you first. You've got such a positive energy and a resilient energy, and somebody who has come through so much with such insight and is able to articulate the pain and the trauma that you've been through, but also to articulate just what you said, that there is hope.
There is hope
on the other side.
There is. Of course there is. And look, there's a positive to everything. This happened to me for a reason. It did. I thoroughly believe that this all happened to me for a reason. It led me on this path to helping other people. And that's another message that I want to say. Do something nice for somebody each day. I tell my kids that all the time. Smile at somebody because you don't know what another person is going through. And I would like for somebody to remember that I smiled at them, or they got a smile from somebody, or hello from somebody. Do something nice for somebody every day. I do that. And it makes a big difference in your life too. You know?
Gwen Phelan.
Yes.
I don't know you, but I love you. I think you're fabulous.
Thank you.
And I think continue to be the amazing spokesperson that you are. And again, for anybody listening, and we'll put it in the show notes as well, womensaid.ie and mensaid.ie. There's lots of help out there. And thank you so much for chatting to me today.
Thank you.
Listen, our hearts are working 24/7, right? So if you do ever feel that worry, maybe some unexpected chest pains, palpitations, breathlessness, you need to know that there is also expert help available 24/7 too. That's why I want to talk about Matter Private Network in Dublin. They are the only private hospital in Ireland offering urgent cardiac care all day, every day. And I'm talking weekends, bank holidays, even in the middle of the night. And that is genuine peace of mind. This is such a unique service for anybody who is worried about their heart. And if you're not sure, just pick up the phone and call them first. You can ring 1800 24/7 999. You'll be put directly through to a cardiac specialist nurse who will talk you through your symptoms. If they need you to come in, you'll get a thorough assessment immediately. If you need treatment or a procedure the same day, they'll arrange it straight away. It's about getting swift expert care from one of Ireland's leading hospitals. If you're worried about your heart, the number to save is 1800 24/7 999. For more information, you can log on to matterprivate.ie. Save the number and be prepared. You've been listening to Are We There Yet? Hosted by me, Kathryn Thomas. Visual design and video edit by Stephen King O'Farrell and Connor Daly. Music courtesy of Audio Network. Series producer Paul McGregor and executive producer Sasha Hamrogue. New episodes of Are We There Yet? Are released every Tuesday morning wherever you get your podcasts, and you can also watch this episode along on YouTube. Are We There Yet? with Kathryn Thomas is an Onyx original.